63 light-years from Earth, a signal vanished for a moment behind a star, and in that absence, astronomers found a color. Blue. Not the faint gray of a dead rock, not the red glow of a furnace. Blue. Calm. Deep. Almost tender. The kind of blue that belongs to old oceans, to weathered horizons, to a planet that might welcome the idea of home. Out in the black, hidden inside a dip in starlight, there seemed to be a sapphire world waiting in silence. And for a moment, the universe put on a familiar face. But the universe is a practiced liar. That blue world is not a refuge. It is not water. It is not sky. It is not peace. The color comes from a wounded atmosphere laced with silicate particles, a haze so violently heated that it scatters blue light and impersonates paradise. What looks from a distance like an alien Earth is something colder in spirit and hotter in flesh. A mask, a seduction, a blue disguise stretched over a planetary crime scene. Its name is HD 189733b. A gas giant, roughly the mass and size of Jupiter. But unlike Jupiter, this world is not drifting through a kingdom of cold. It is chained to its star. It circles at only about 0.031 astronomical units, so close that an entire year there is murdered and replaced every 2.2 Earth days. It does not orbit so much as it skims the edge of punishment. Every lap around its sun is a sprint through the mouth of a furnace. That proximity does something worse than heat. It takes freedom. HD 189733b is tidally locked. One face is forced to stare forever into its star. One face is exiled into darkness. Day never ends on one side, night never lifts on the other. There is no sunrise, no sunset, no mercy of rotation. Just eternal exposure and eternal absence, both enforced by gravity like a sentence carved into orbital stone. This planet does not live in time the way worlds should. It lives in a split verdict: burn on one side, endure darkness on the other. And even that is not the worst part, because heat here does not stay where it is born. NASA's Spitzer telescope helped build one of the first weather maps ever made for a world beyond our solar system, and what it found felt almost unnatural. The hottest region was not where it should have been. The fire had shifted, moved, dragged away from high noon as if the atmosphere itself were hauling daylight across the planet's face. Winds on this world do not simply blow, they abduct heat. Those winds race at around 7,000 kilometers per hour, and some estimates push even higher. On Earth, wind is weather. Here, wind is a weapon. A supersonic conveyor of pain, a planetary blade with no hand to hold it. The atmosphere is scorching, over 1,000 degrees Celsius, hot enough to turn any fantasy of shelter into a joke. And inside that blazing air, silicate particles may condense into glass. Not glass beneath your feet, glass in the sky, glass in motion, glass hurled sideways through the dark by a screaming atmosphere that never sleeps. So imagine the familiar things this world pretends to offer. A blue sky. But it is not a sky you could breathe. It is a veil of hot minerals and optical deceit. Rain, but not the gentle surrender of water falling from a cloud. Here the rain would cut, scour, strip and peel. Day and night. But not as rhythm, as imprisonment. Weather, but not as atmosphere in motion. As an execution system spread across an entire globe. HD 189733b borrows the vocabulary of Earth only to corrupt every word. That is what makes this planet so disturbing. Not that it is alien, but that it comes dressed as something almost known. The most terrifying worlds are not always the ones that look monstrous from the start. Sometimes horror arrives painted in the colors of home. Sometimes hell chooses blue. And if this is the kind of darkness you follow, if you want to keep crossing these thresholds with me, deeper into the places where beauty turns traitor, subscribe and stay close. Because this world has more to confess. For all its cruelty, HD 189733be became something else to us. A laboratory, a warning that also became a key. Astronomers found water vapor in its atmosphere. Earlier observations suggested methane. Later studies sharpened the picture, exposing a chemistry more complex and more treacherous than first believed. Then the James Webb Space Telescope added another note to the autopsy: hydrogen sulfide, the scent of rot, the chemistry of decay. This planet is too hot for life as we know it, far too hot. But by learning how to read the breath of a nightmare, we are learning how one day to read the breath of a living world. And that may be the strangest mercy buried in this story. No human craft has descended into this atmosphere. No probe has torn through those winds. No machine has tasted that rain. We have never touched HD 189733b. We have interrogated it from afar. Spitzer mapped its heat like a forensic diagram. Hubble uncovered the blue deception and traced molecules in its air. Chandra and XMM Newton watched in X-rays as the star carved at the planet's atmosphere. Webb arrived later, colder and sharper, and found sulfur hiding in the smoke. A chain of witnesses, a procession of eyes, all staring into the same blue lie. Chandra revealed something especially cruel. In X-rays, the planet's atmosphere appears larger than expected, swollen into a more extended shroud than optical light alone had shown us. That means the star is not merely shining on this planet, it is working it over. Radiation is heating the outer atmosphere, inflating it, loosening it, preparing it to be stripped away. Scientists estimate that HD 189733b may be losing between 100 million and 600 million kilograms of atmosphere every second. Not every year, not every hour, every second. So this world is not only a villain, it is also a victim. The same star that gives the planet its false blue beauty is slowly flaying it alive. Its atmosphere is bleeding into space. The world is being peeled back layer by layer by the radiation of the thing it cannot escape. This is not just violent weather trapped in orbit, this is erosion as destiny. A giant world with the face of a jewel and the fate of a carcass left under a blowtorch. And suddenly, the color changes meaning. Blue is no longer soothing. Blue becomes evidence, a stain, a cosmetic trick played by physics on creatures like us, who still confuse beauty with safety. We look into the dark and hope familiar colors mean familiar mercies. Oceans, air, rain, shelter. But the universe does not sign those promises. It manufactures splendor without comfort. It creates elegance without kindness. It hangs precious-looking things in the void and lets them become arenas of fire, pressure, poison, and loss. So remember HD 189733ba for what it truly is. Not just the planet where glass may race sideways through a furnace sky. Not just the blue world that seduced astronomers before revealing its teeth. Remember it as a lesson written in starlight. That appearances are weak evidence in a violent universe. That a world can wear the colors of life while carrying none of its mercy. That our own rain, our own air, our own turning mornings are not ordinary things. They are exemptions, rare permissions. And if you want to keep listening for those permissions in the dark, if you want to follow more worlds that whisper one thing and mean another, subscribe and come back. There are more beautiful traps waiting beyond the edge of night.